know I have a divan. Don't you know I have a divan. Don't you know I have a divan. I have a divan. I have a divan.
That song gives me all the vibes. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Awakened Winners podcast with Loida Love. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Miguel Baez. Today we're calling this conversation Embracing Change, and I'm going to introduce Miguel Baez, and then he can share more about himself, and we'll just have a conversation. We hope that this conversation touches your heart, inspires you, and leaves you wanting to do more with your life, feeling empowered. So Miguel Baez is a 21-year career firefighter, proud father of two, and fourth amputee in the U.S. He's a public speaker and is grateful to share his story to inspire people so that they could know and see by his example that they can do whatever they put their mind into. Welcome, Miguel.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you so much, Loida. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, I would love for you to share a bit of your story.
Hi. Again, I'm Miguel Baez. I've been 21-year veteran of the Lawrence Fire Department, and few years ago, I was in a motorcycle accident that left me. I woke up 3 weeks later. I was driving on a beautiful, clear August 6, 2021, beautiful, clear night. And I went for a cruise in New Hampshire, and I lost control of my motorcycle and crashed against some trees. I hit some trees and woke up 3 weeks later in the hospital, just to find out that I was an amputee. I woke up, I had a split pelvis, 11 broken ribs. I have my one lungs were collapsed and the other one full of blood clots. I have my pancreas, my liver damaged, bladder. My right elbow, my right arm was shattered, was destroyed. I had an internal bleeding 3 weeks that they couldn't stop. And also I coded in 3 weeks, 6 times. But the funny thing is, the best part of it is that they found a blood clot near my heart that had nothing to do with the accident. That if they wouldn't have found it within that period of time, probably a few weeks later, I would have had a heart attack. That's what the doctor told me. So, when I woke up, I was actually very thankful and blessed because I was alive. So all that did a number of me. And it was hard. It was hard, very hard, because at that point when I woke up, I had no idea what happened, what was going on, what I was going to do. There was so many emotions that went through my head. There was so many thoughts. It was just, my head was just cloudy with so much questions and so much stuff. So upon waking up, I knew that I couldn't do anything. I was actually motionless. I couldn't move. I couldn't move my arms, any part of my body. I mean, that when someone spends a few weeks in a coma, you wake up after it, you have to learn everything all over again. Talk, walk, move, everything. And I was motionless. I couldn't do anything. And it was hard. It was hard at the beginning. And prior to that, I thought that, my life was what's all set. I was living the good life. I'm 48-year-old man, recently separated. I had a small company on my own that was starting to generate good money. And I was having fun, as I thought I was having the life. I was spending money. I was going out. I was drinking. I was dating. I was having the life that a 48-year-old think is the best life out there, you know. And then that accident happened, you know. So yeah, waking up 3 weeks later, really, I thought it was 2 weeks, to be honest with you. But I'm sorry, 2 days, but they told me it was 3 weeks, and I was out of it. I didn't think it was that long. And the funny thing is that during those 3 weeks, I went to many places. I went to a lot of different places, places where I didn't want to be there, places where were killing, dismembering, like places where I felt insecure, scared, afraid of everything that was going on around me, and other places that were okay. You know,
This was prior to the accident you're speaking of.
This is actually, I was in a coma.
Oh wow!
It's actually where I was in a coma. Yeah.
You were having a lot of experiences.
Yeah, I was having a lot of different experiences while I was in a coma. Again, I knew I had a motorcycle accident. I could not wake up from where I was, or I couldn't talk at all, and started visiting all these places, bad places. But the good thing is, and the funny thing is, that I went to 3 times to a place where it was so peaceful. It was I got there and it was just so peaceful. It was so calm, peaceful. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel anything. I didn't ask, where am I? I didn't ask where my kids, what happened to me, nothing. It was just completely peace. And it was a huge cloud, a wall cloud of smoke that I could not go past. And I asked to speak with God because I wanted to stay there at that spot. And I was told that I couldn't talk to God because I was coming back. So that happened 3 times, exactly the same scenario. And the third time that happened, I said, well, if they don't want me here, let's go back and fight, because all this time I thought that I was going to be paralyzed. You know, I remember when I hit those trees, when I crashed. I remember opening my eyes and trying to move and trying to get up, but I couldn't. I could not move at all, and I was barely breathing. And I could smell and I could smell the smell of the ground, but it wasn't really grass. It was like a stingy smell. I didn't know what it was at the time. They told me it was poison ivy. So I landed in a bed of poison ivy. Unfortunately, those guys that picked me up got all poison ivy. You know, I woke up without it because I woke up 3 weeks later, so probably it was gone, you know.
Right.
But I felt bad for them. Yeah. And you know, after waking up knowing that I couldn't move, the first thing that came to my mind is like, what's gonna happen to me now? What's my life is gonna look like from this point on? Many questions just came up. And when I woke up, there was a lot of Bible passages that people were sending me, a lot of things, you know, hope, giving me hope. People sending me notes that they're praying for me and all that stuff. And me being in the presence of God, what I said was, well, if God is sending me back, it's because I have something to say, something to tell people, something to do still here, you know. At the beginning, I didn't know where it was. I was afraid of everything. But with time went on, as I asked for privacy, that was the first thing that I asked once I could talk. I asked for privacy because I needed to process what I was going through. I needed to know what was happening to me and what was going to happen from that point on. So the best thing I did was ask for privacy. And during all that time, I spent like 5 months just on my own, without, you know, just close family members just come by. And what I did was just pray. I prayed a lot. I meditated a lot. and I concentrated on my injuries and everything that I had, what I couldn't do and what I needed to do. I remember asking the doctor what the time period that it was going to happen between me being at the hospital and me being okay, like after that rehab. And his answer was between a year and a half to 2 years from, like waking up to the time that I was going to be all set with the
And
rehab.
and when you say, like, when you asked when you're going to be okay, did you mean when will you be able to walk again?
Yeah, when would I be able to move and kind of like maybe not walk, but be normal, being able to go out there and kind of, be normal, like as all the injuries I had, but it's normal, just done with done with my therapy, my rehab and stuff like that.
Okay,
And his answer was a year and a half to 2 years, and I took that as a benchmark, but I wasn't really believing I was going to be a year and a half to 2 years in this process, regardless of how it was. And I couldn't even move at that time. Again, my elbow was just put together for temporarily because they had to deal with my leg first and my hip and all the stuff. But when I woke up, the good thing, they told me that I was tied on my hip. I had no idea, no clue. I never felt anything. If they wouldn't tell me that, my hip was split, I wouldn't have known. But when I woke up, it was just that, okay, I can't move. What's gonna happen from this point on? And I knew that I needed to go within. I knew that I needed to really take all this in, and that the process was gonna be a long process. So that's why the privacy was very important to me, because I needed to understand that whether I got discouraged, I got pissed off, I got, depressed. It didn't matter what emotion or what I was going to go through. The process wasn't going to go faster. And I could not leave the place where I was. I couldn't leave the hospital. I couldn't leave anywhere because, again, I could not move. I was bedbound for all that time, at least for the first 5 months.
incredible. Like, I just want to say that as I'm listening to you, I'm truly amazed. Like, even just what you just shared, that you chose to be with yourself for 5 months with, some company, but really it was for you to lean into the process, to know that there was going to be an emotional turmoil, that you were going to grieve, that there was going to be anger, there was going to be so much, but that you were willing to do that in order to come out of the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The first thing I did was I talked to God every single day, every minute I have, every time I had a down time or there was no one around me. My thought were on talking to God and meditating, really going within me and feeling and seeing inside of me all the injuries that I had. And one of the things that really helped me out a lot was that I accepted what I had. I didn't want to go against, like, I didn't say, oh, why me? Oh, I'm done. I'm screwed. So I decided to just accept what I had. That, if God sent me back, he did this. This is after everything that happened to me and how things happen, this is a reason for it. Like, I started concentrating, and what I did was I talked to myself a lot. I say, okay, this is the reality. What's the reality? The reality and the fact is that you're done. You're screwed. You can't move. You all, half of your right side it's pretty much paralyzed. You're done. You're screwed. Okay. So what is the good and the bad thing about it? I knew that concentrating and thinking negative about everything that happened to me was going to bring negative emotion and negative feelings and negative thoughts and everything that negative brings with it, And I decided to make the choice that no matter what happened from that point on, it to me was going to be positive, and I was going to think of a positive answer about anything that happened. So this, I started to look at it as a good thing, as a positive thing. How I did, for instance, I started changing the way I saw things. Like, okay, I have an accident. This is a good thing because my life was going too fast. You know, I was living the fast lane. I was living the fast lane. I thought I had everything again. And I looked at it as like, he slowed me down. He told me, relax, you're heading the wrong way. This is it. And, you know, and I knew that being an amputee, there was a reason, slow me down. I was a person that was always doing things in a hurry. I looked at it as like, okay, now I have to concentrate and take my time to do things. So I started looking at all the positive thing that this was bringing to me and that this was going to bring. Also, I kind of mapped out how I was going to do everything. I knew that every single thing that I was going to do from this point on was going to be challenging because I couldn't move. Every time I needed to move, it had to take a couple of people just to move me around. And I was bedbound. I could not get up from the bed. And I knew that the process was going to be hard because anything that I was going to do exercise wise, things like that, it was going to be very challenging. And everything was going to be failure. Like no matter what I did, I wasn't going to be good at it right away. And I put that in my mind. I made sure that that was there, that whatever happened, it was going to be something good. And that's exactly what I did. Everything I did, I put in all the emotion, all the energy because I wanted to get better at it and I wanted to get better fast. So I always said, you know, if God sent me back, I can do it. You know, I'll be able to do this. And one of the things was that once I asked the doctor, what was my limitation? What's my limitation with, you know, with my arm and my leg and how I was? And he pretty much told me that, you know, I was an amputee below my knee and the limitation were pretty much up to me. And that's all I needed for fuel. I just needed that. When he said that it was pretty much up to me, I just, my brain just shifted. And I said, all right, so if it's up to me, I'm going back to becoming a firefighter. I want to go back to be a firefighter. That triggered that and put me in that mental state, you know.
Wow. I'm just like, I'm in awe of you. Like, I'm so excited. I hear your story and I feel empowered. I feel admiration. I write notes because otherwise I'm not going to remember things that I want to say. But I love that you mentioned your awareness that negativity only creates more of it, right? Positivity
Yes.
only creates more of that. So knowing that you have a choice, how am I going to embrace this? Am I going to reject this or am I going to accept where I am and move forward? And you chose to accept where you were and move forward. What do I have choice? I have a choice how I greet this. Okay. I have a choice if I'm going to just wallow in sorrow and feel victimized by my situation, or I'm going to feel empowered by it. I'm going to go through the process of grief, whatever I need to go through. And then, okay, now what? Now what?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I understood that negative thoughts, thinking negative, was gonna bring a negative feeling and a negative emotion.
Yeah.
And once you get a negative feeling and a negative emotion, you act. Your actions are gonna be normally negative. You know, it will be something that when you're done, you don't feel good about. So I just decided from this point on, regardless of what happened, it's gonna be something positive for me. Whether it's you know, it's a bad thing or whatever, it is something positive because any negative event always there's always something positive behind it. We just tend to cling to the negative part of it, you know, unfortunately. And once we break that taboo of just concentrating on the negative side of something, things are way different. I mean, I love a quote from Wayne Dyer that says, when you change the way you look at things, everything you see changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I took that to the heart. And so do every passage from the Bible, everything I read, I take it to the heart. Because if he gave me the promise that through him I can do anything, like Ephesians says, that's exactly what I believe. If you tell me that believing in you and following you and doing what you asked me to do, I'm gonna be able to do this, and you giving me this, I'm in, and that's how it's been. Like, I have faith on absolutely everything that I do. If yeah, okay, I'm not good at everything, and I get afraid and a little worried about things, but that's the beauty of it. When you do something that you're afraid of, when you do something that you're nervous about, the reward after you do something like that is 10 times better than if you do something without being afraid. So being uncomfortable, which is something that I knew was going to happen to me, obviously, it opened up, and it made things so much sweeter and so much better, and pushes you to do better the next time when you have a challenge in front of you. And that was my mentality. My mentality was that regardless what I did, whether it was uncomfortable or whatever, I was going to push through it, because in my mind was like, I know I wanted to come back to the fire department. I know the physical stuff that I have to do is going to be a challenge. Yes, I knew I wasn't going anywhere, so I had the time to kind of like go within and take my time and don't rush anything. Very important thing. I don't rush anything. I take my time. Again, this thing has slowed me down to in every part of my life. I pay a lot more attention when I do something now than before. And that those things, those little changes that has been kind of given to me, I love that. I love those changes, because those are positive changes, even though it came from what we could call a negative effect, again, but I don't see it as a negative effect. To me, this was necessary. Like I tell people, I say, like, my accident was necessary. I believe it was 100% necessary from where I was to where I am now. So, it got me very close to my spiritual side. I was definitely not closer to God as much as I am now.
Mhm.
He opened up definitely a channel, and and I'm grateful for absolutely everything that happens, that has happened from that point on. And and I do everything with such faith that believe it's just everything that I have asked after the accident, it has worked out, and it's working. It's out like that. So faith is definitely something that is pushing me. That I do everything clinging to faith,
Mhm.
and and it's working out. It's been amazing. I always had a negative thought or perspective about social media. Like, even when I used to tell my kids, stay away from social media. Why you so much? And I used to be the one kind of like that pain in the neck father that it's always telling the kids stay away from social media. And I wasn't into social media until my accident. And a lot of guys is like, listen, you can help so many people by telling your story. And that was something that I didn't want to do, because I was afraid of it. I was scared. I wanted to come back to the fire department, but I didn't want no one to know, and I wanted to keep it quiet, just because I'm a social person. I love to socialize, but I'm introvert in a lot of things like that, especially when it has to do like a lot of people and people that that are out there that I don't know.
Mhm.
So that was, I'm like, yeah, no, maybe not. I don't want anybody to know. And someone says, listen, you be help. You have no idea how many people you can help by just kind of sharing your story and telling them. And he has been like that, believe it or not. I started doing that, and he has opened a whole new doors to many things out there. Help people that have asked me for help in that way. I have spoken with a few um, people that have limb loss lately, and they go back or become a firefighter, and they have reached out to me, see how I did it, how I do it, what do I use as equipment, how the process was, and all that. And all I can tell them is just the process, that how exactly happened to me. you know and definitely God is it's behind all this for sure.
All I want to say is, go, Miguel, go, go. Go. There's a few more things like I want to touch on social media. Social media to me, it has its negative aspects and its positives, right? And that again comes to what you were talking about earlier, which is choice. Like you
Right.
have a choice on how you use it, right? Some people use it just to share negativity, but you can also use it to share positivity and be an inspiration. So I'm excited that you shifted that perspective and are willing to share your story, because I think it serves other people to hear your story because you get to inspire people. But I also think you get an opportunity to get receptive to see how much you are loved and cared about, because I hope through all of this, you've felt so loved and cared about, because so many people do.
Oh my God, girl, I have so much love from so many people. It's unbelievable, and like you said, social media, um, it's been great because through it, I've been able to talk to people, and and after talking to them and how the feedback when they call me back or when they get back to me, it's a good feeling, girl. The feeling that you get because somebody you helping someone achieve something that they couldn't think they could achieve. It's an amazing feeling. I talked to a girl in Ohio that became an amputee. She had a accident and she became an amputee, and she wanted to go back to um, a volunteer fire department that she was on, and she was devastated, girl. To her life was over. To her, she's like, I don't know how I can do this. My life is over. I really don't feel like. She was really down the deep, and I'm like, girl, this is way different than what you're thinking. Your life is just beginning. This is another opportunity you have. You have no idea how many things you can do. Like, like for instance, just be grateful because this happened. What happened to you? It's the teaching moment, not just for you, but for somebody else. And once you start doing something, she don't want to do anything. She didn't want to get up. She was just really down, and she heard my story, and she kind of like wanted to talk to me about it. And by the end of our conversation, like we talked for 2 hours, and by the end of our conversation, she was eager to like, okay, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm like, excellent. And I spoke with her the other day, and she's like, yeah, now I'm getting up, I'm like upbeat, I'm kind of, I want to do it, I want to get up, and I want to start doing these little things. And I'm like, that's it, girl. Just think different, start getting a different perspective in life. Know that
Exactly.
any little things that you're gonna do from this point on is gonna be an achievement,
Yeah.
and things like that. And she just, she's starting. She's like, yeah, and that feedback, it's the satisfaction that it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling to be able to just provide that little grain of sand or put the little seed in someone's mind that can grow for them to get out of that space where they are. Because the thing is that it's easy. It's very easy not to do anything. It's the easiest thing not to do anything, and and being negative is also the easiest thing. You just don't have to do anything. It'll happen by itself.
Yeah.
But pushing yourself to do something, it's once you go through it, that the feeling that you get after you conquer that little, it doesn't matter what it is. For instance, like the first time, my arm a year and a half ago was straight. I could not use my arm besides like that. I couldn't move it at all.
Mm.
So the first time that I touched my face, man, tears came out. I
Mm.
mean, just tears came out. And the rehab lady girl was happy and crying too, because I'm like, I can touch my face after a year of my accident. I couldn't move my arm, and now I can touch my face. So that to me was like like another milestone that I crushed. In every little things that I did, like for small as it was such an amazing feeling because I was conquering just a little more, a little more, a little more. And it's just baby step. It is what it is. I tell people, like, I always do things 1 foot at a time. Like I make fun of that. Like I make 1 foot at a time. They say, oh, I see what you did there. But just
Like literally.
literally, that's what I said,
I just said it now. It's like, oh, like literally. Okay. But I love that because it is, that's the way life is. It is this moment, right? Like sometimes we want to take We want to be over there. And when we get over there, then we'll be happy. But little do we know that when we get over there, it's you might be happy, but it's a temporary high,
Correct.
right? The journey is, you find joy in the journey, right? You every step you get to realize, oh my God, I'm alive.
Yes.
I'm alive. This is a privilege. I'm
Yes.
alive. I get to, right? And what you get to offer these people, and this woman that you spoke to that was struggling, was a perspective shift.
Correct.
Like just shifting a perspective. It's like, I hate this, I hate this. And people get stuck on their mindset. So it's, some people are like, oh, just change your mindset. But sometimes it's hard for people to see beyond the veil that they're seeing in. So it's for somebody else to help them lift that veil. Like, look underneath this veil. Look at what's over here. And all of a sudden they see the sun and the stars and like, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, there's so much potential and possibility over there. But I'm scared. I've been there. I know it's scary, but it's so good. Come join me. And that's what you're doing. You're like, just do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And you'll see that this is not the most horrible thing. This is actually the beginning of your life, that's what I heard you say. Like, this is the beginning of your life. That's so freaking beautiful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. Like I came to the conclusion that this was the beginning for me. I did one of the conversation I had was like, okay, Miguel, is this the beginning or is this the end? What you gonna choose from this point on? Like all those stuff were things that I needed to deal with. And to me it was like, no, this is the beginning, man. This is starting for me. Like this is opening up whole new door for me, whole new challenges. And another thing is that anything that you're gonna do that it's worthless, that it's worth a while, is gonna be hard. It's gonna be an uphill battle. It's not gonna be easy, but that's what makes it so much interesting. Like you said, that journey getting to where you're going, it's what makes it worth it. A lot of people wait till they get to the destination to start their vacation, instead of enjoying the moment that you go on vacation, like from the point that you start. Like that's when your vacation starts. Start joining the journey there, not just wait till you get to the destination in order to start opening up. Oh, okay, I'm on vacation. No, you started vacation 8 hours, 10 hours ago, a day ago.
Yes.
um
Yes.
start that and understand that when you do something, again, when you do something that is worthwhile, something that you have a goal to, something that you're looking forward, that you want to achieve, you're going to fail. You're going to fail many times, and it's okay. Failure is okay. What is not okay is to quit, because quitting automatically guarantees that you're not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So quitting is a bad thing. Failing is okay as long as you get up again. You just, okay. So I failed today. Tomorrow we're gonna get up and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna push a little bit harder, maybe, and it's okay. Like we see failure as something so bad,
Right.
you know, and the reality is that we fail at pretty much everything all the time. I mean, when you a baby and you start walking, that's failure.
Yeah.
When you go to the gym and you start lifting weight, you fail at the gym every day because you're targeting, let's say, like an amount of weight that you want to push yourself to, but you're not there. Every day you inch yourself a little more. It could be like, okay, I'm gonna do an hour and a half of cardio, and maybe at the beginning you start with like 20 minutes because you can't get there, and slowly. So every day you push yourself a little more, and then you end up doing hour and a half of cardio by the time and once you're there, you're like, oh my God, I started a week and a half ago and I couldn't even do my warm-ups, and look at me now. And I'm, like all those little things. And when you get there, that reward is so much sweeter.
Yes.
They said that God put the best thing in life on the other side of stress and failure. So that I needed to understand that whatever I was gonna do, I was gonna fail at absolutely everything. I mean, the first exercise I had at the rehab when I got there, again, I didn't have my leg, I was an amputee, and my arm, I could not move at all. So I only had my left arm and my left leg. And I was weak. I was really weak. I could, people had to push me around in the wheelchair. Like I couldn't, I was really weak. And the first exercise that I was told was, okay, you need to get up from your chair without touching the chair. And to me, that was like, wait a minute, that's crazy. Like, are you sure I gotta lift myself up without touching the chair? I'm an amputee. It's like, well, that's what the paper says.
Mhm.
And the beginning, the couple of tries that I did, I couldn't do it just because I was so weak and I was unbalanced. But every day I was looking forward. Every day I was looking to do it. And I said, well, if they say that, it's because it's possible. And if it's possible, I can do it. And yeah, and then like the fourth, fifth try, I did it. And after that, it was like, I love it. And then it was the next one. It was like stepping onto a rung on the stair, like pulling myself up. Could not do it for the first few times. So those little things I was looking forward to, like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna push myself a lot harder, and I'm gonna pull whatever thing I have, and I just gotta get into my head, this is what we're gonna have to do. So
Mhm.
failing, it's necessary for you to conquer what you're looking for and where you want to get at. Um, Quitting is what is not good. So I believe in everything that I do that is gonna be failure, but the good thing is that I don't give up. You just got to come back and do it again and again and again, and that helps with discipline, which is another thing that helped me out a lot.
Mm.
I wasn't a disciplined person at all. Like discipline to me was like too hard, like not. And through my accident, I've learned so much, and I learned how important discipline is. And discipline is not something that we perfect, because you can't perfect discipline. All you can do is just do you better you best. So, and it just helps you to love what you do, even though we hate to be disciplined at things. But discipline is necessary. It's one of the best thing that ever happened to me. Being able to put some discipline behind things that I do. You
Right.
know.
I mean, there's so much. I'm like, I could be here all day talking.
No, that's my. I can talk like one-on-one. I can talk for. Oh my God!
Oh my God. I love these conversations because they nourish my heart, and just the thought that people are going to be listening to this, that this will help people get a perspective shift too. People that listen to this conversation will be like, oh my God, like I didn't think of that, or that feels empowering to me, that people would feel inspired. I love it. So I wanted to share a couple of things. I think that I am a published author. And I share this pretty much and I'm going to share it at every conversation I have. But the logo I have for this podcast is The Awakened Winners. And I wrote a book called The Awakened Winners. The subtitle is We Already Won. This is my beautiful, beautiful son, Nicholas. And I share this because of what you're talking about. I think that what we get attached to most is winning, right? So when
Mm,
we win, then we're happy. Whatever that is. Like it could be a relationship. Oop, I got in a relationship. I won, right? I got this money. I won. Whatever the case may be. Oh, I won this game, whatever. I won. But those tend to be temporary highs. But if we remember that we can be the awakened winner, and remember, we already won. If
mm,
we already won in this moment, we have so much choice. Like, I already won. Okay. So anytime I win, it's it's a plus. It's an addition, but it's not my why. I'm not identified with winning, right? My identity isn't over there. My identity is right here. My power is right here.
mm.
And winning is just like, oh, I won this game. And it's like, yay. But it's not like if I lose it, then it's like, oh my God, I'm not shit. Which what is what happens with people, right? If you're attached to winning and you lose, you you just I'm not shit. I'm nothing, right? I'm not
Right.
gonna try, right? And I imagine even with people that go through what you've been through, if they're identified with how they look as winning, right? And they change the way they look, right? Like your body changed,
Oh yeah.
right? So then it couldn't just be like, I don't want to. This is not, I can't accept it. I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to even be seen, right? I want to, like, what are people going to think? How are they going to look at me? All the things. But if your perspective shifts to, I already won, and this is just another way of being, another way of doing things, and I get to embrace it or hate it, I'm going to choose to love it because I am alive.
That's right.
We're alive, right? I already won. This is what I choose. Your body is a temple. It's not for people to see like your body and be like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful body, and you and or your beautiful face, right? So we have to look a certain way. We have to, and when you don't, you're not shit. No, you're a whole person. No matter if you don't have arms, you're a whole person.
Correct.
Right? You're a whole with God. You're one with God. God lives in your heart. You are a whole person. Um, so I just wanted to share that because that's one of my passions, because I see so many people struggle, and I struggled with that for a long time. We live in a human world where there's so many messages that are given to us, and not all of them are positive, right? Most of the time we're taught to be addicted to the external for validation, when really we need to nourish our own hearts and give ourselves that validation to move forward.
Yes. And like you say, attachment to winning, we have that mentality that we are better if we win, like, oh, I have to win because um, the feeling that they get, like, for that instant gratification when they win. And that attachment, like, I learned how to detach from things like that. I know that, like you said, attachment brings a perspective that you're waiting for him. When he doesn't happen, you feel like crap. You're like, useless. Like, all those negative feelings and the stuff comes in. So, that's very important. Attachment. Like, I completely learned to detach from the unimportant things, like things that, yeah, I thought before they were like, oh my God, this is so important. Like how I look, all this, how you were looking, like, oh, this is me. Like, for instance, my dad unfortunately passed away young, and 61, and he was diabetic, and he needed to had an amputation on his leg, and he didn't want to. He decided to die with both of his legs. He said, like, no, I'm not gonna cut. I don't want to amputate my leg. I'd rather die with both my legs, and that was his choice. I was like, wow, it was hard, but that's what he wanted, and it was his choice. So to me, I'm not my body. I'm what inside my body. This is the vessel. This is my temple. This is what God gave me to go through this life. And just because I don't have a leg doesn't mean that I'm not Miguel Baez. I'm not this person. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, learn how to detach from things. I was one of the things. And being grateful, girl. I think being grateful has impacted me so much. Because again, we take life for granted. We think that we're gonna live 3, 4, 5, 10 more years, and the reality is that life is fragile, and in an instant can change. There's a lot of people that go to work. Sometimes they don't come home. There's people that go to sleep. They don't wake up. There's people that've been, in the house, and a bullet comes in or something fall from the sky and kill. Like, your life is so fragile. Like, your life can change in an instant when you less expecting it. And then what happens then if it happens? So, it's sad. I tell people it's kind of sad that you have to go through a traumatic event in order for you to change your life. Unfortunately, some people don't come back from that traumatic event, but it's a pain in the neck that you have to go through and a traumatic event in order for you to change an aspect of your life or something, and start saying, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Like, now I do a bunch of things. Like, when I wake up, first of all, I meditate for 20 minutes. Besides, I before I get up from bed, I'm grateful for probably like 100 things. I wake up from all those little things that before I wasn't grateful for, because again, when I woke up from the coma, I opened my eyes. I couldn't talk, but I still had a lot of tubes stuck from all over me.
Right.
And I was so thirsty, and it was funny because the nurse that was taking care, she was amazing. She that was taking care of me knew that I was thirsty, and she couldn't give me anything. She's like, I cannot give you anything because
Mhm.
you can't really swallow, you can choke. So she put a small piece of ice, like very little piece of ice, like just between the tube and my lip, and that felt so good, so amazing. Again, another tear came out because
Wow.
I felt how good that little piece of ice and that little cold water was going down my throat. And one of the things she says is like, don't choke, because if you choke, I'm gonna have to live with you. You're gonna have to take care of me because they're gonna fire me. So I was, it was like, oh, that's so
I
funny.
love it.
It was amazing. It was really good, and she was like inserting small little pieces of ice like in between the tube and my mouth, and that it was like, oh, it was like a moment that felt so good just because all the tubes that I had in my throat and everything was just so dry and just that amount of ice made such an amazing difference,
Yeah, and I
So
imagine you feeling like the privilege of even just like the ice, like this, like you were so thirsty and you feeling the privilege of
yes.
that.
Yeah. So I wake up, girl, and I'm grateful for everything. Every morning now, for instance, like I wake up and I'm grateful for everything just before I put my foot on the floor. Um, I'm grateful for hearing. I'm grateful for opening my eyes and seeing. I'm grateful for talking, for understanding, for reasoning, for movement. I'm grateful for all this stuff, for the people that prayed for me last night, for the people that I pray. I'm grateful for absolutely everything, especially for being able and being alive. Just waking up is reason enough to be grateful. And I'm thankful for everything. And I give thanks for everything that I have and everything he's gonna bring for me. Not I don't I don't concentrate on the things that I don't have, and I make sure that I concentrate on the things that I have, because that put me on a good state of mind, in a good how do you call that? It gives me good feeling to start heading, and dealing with the day,
Yeah.
whatever the brings.
I want to share something and then we'll start merging to ending our conversation that's been so freaking good because we can be here forever. Um, but I want to share. So I had an awakening, right? And some people have. I've had a lot of awakenings, to be honest. I've had so many moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm connected to everything, or oh my God, this moment is all there is. There's just so many. Um, but I had a tumor, and I found out I had a tumor on my hamstring a few years ago. And I freaked out. Like I was either gonna die or lose my leg, right? That's what I was telling myself. I remember calling my sister and crying. I'm like, I want to be able to be here with Nicholas, but I might die, like. And I went to a workshop, and they asked me, if I wanted to share what I was going through, and I did, and I was crying. And the conductor asked me, she said, what's your biggest fear? Because there's a lot of feeling as you share. And I said, well, I might lose my leg or die. And in that moment, something shifted within me, which was that, first of all, that I don't have control over anything, right?
Correct.
I don't have control over anything. I was future tripping, right? Like future tripping, like, oh my God, what if all of these things happen and what am I going to do? You are alive right now. You get to greet this moment right now. However you choose, this moment may be the last moment you have. How are you greeting this moment, right? And it's I was, and I don't know if you saw me looking at my phone, but I was looking for pictures. Like this is my leg wrapped after I had surgery. They had to put a tube in my leg to let the space drain after they removed my tumor. My tumor was like this big in my hamstring. I have a
Oh,
scar behind my leg from right below my butt to the back of my knee. That's how big the tumor
wow.
was. Yeah. But this was after my surgery. This is me with a walker and a big smile. And I just want to read what I wrote. It's not super long, but it's, just bear with me. So it's called Everything is a Privilege. This is what I got after my surgery. Everything is a privilege. This process has humbled me even more. Those who really know me know that I am extremely independent. I don't ask for help much, and that's not always a good thing. Today, I am humbled as I experience that things can change in an instant, and everything is a privilege, especially the awakening that I experienced through what I perceive as a painful situation that is really a gift too. This morning, I cried at the thought of the things I can thank God for in the moment. And so much came up for me, such as thank you, God, for this thing called life. Thank you, God, for the rise and fall of my belly as I breathe. Thank you, God, for the rhythm of my heartbeat. Thank you, God, for the wiggle in my toes and fingers. Thank you, God, for this step, this blink, this breath. Thank you for the person that's helping me. Thank you, God, for my family and friends who love me and that I love dearly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so in love with you. And I thought right now, what if we all woke up this way? That instead of complaining, we would see, feel, and experience the privilege that our beautiful life is, that we could carry ourselves in love and love one another because we know that this is a privilege and that taking life for granted is like being given the best gift in the world and saying it's not good enough. I don't like it. How about we learn to love it together? What if we wake up in the morning every single day and give thanks for the things we perceive to be the really little things that I know more than ever now are the big things? What do you see, feel, or experience in this moment that you can say thank you, God, for? Make it a point to find something to be grateful for in each moment. And if you feel that you can't find anything to be grateful for, thank God for that too. Every
Yeah.
everything is a gift and an
Mhm.
offering from life for us to learn how to love deeply. I love deeply and I am beyond grateful for that.
Excellent. That's beautiful. That's exactly how it is. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. See, it's yeah, that's beautiful. I tell people like, like I when I for instance, like I talk to a couple of 19-year-old kids that ask me questions sometimes, and I said, be honest with yourself, talk to yourself, be go to the mirror and talk to yourself, and tell yourself what you need to change in yourself, and start taking, do little things, small little step about it. You know what you need to change. If you talk to yourself, you know exactly what you need to change. You also have to understand that not everyone around you is perfect for you. That's the reality. Not everyone around you is perfect for you. You might be comfortable with the people that you might be around with, but that comfortable might not be good. Maybe you need to get some, hard work around the people that you're with. Like maybe
Yeah.
you need to. I've heard a saying, if you are the smartest person in your group, you gotta change group. You gotta find people a lot smarter than you. You gotta find people that you look up to, people that regardless who you hanging around with, they have to bring something better than what you bring, not something worse. So the environment that you're around, it's very, very, very important, and again, we get comfortable with the people that we're around with, and that's sometimes not great, they're not good all the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can go on. Like that's
but
part two. This is going to be part two of our conversation because I'm like, okay, I can go into being a lost child and now self love and really looking at myself in the mirror every day and pouring love into myself. And not being taught, right? Not being taught how to love
right.
myself, creating tools and using tools that were shared by amazing people that were love teachers that I could, right, do myself, meditation, mirror love, whatever it is, pour into yourself because otherwise you're pouring from an empty cup and that's no good.
Yep. Yep.
But Miguel, if there is one thing that you can leave today's listeners with, like one message, one solid message about embracing change, what would it be?
Um, be at peace with God. Definitely be at peace with God. Accept God in your life. If you don't have him, search for him. Every morning, at least start with being grateful. That's a way to start. And definitely, have God in your heart, because when God commands this, this commands this, and this command this. So if you have God, it gives you good thoughts in your head, which gives you good feelings, and those good feelings make you do something good. So definitely, search for God. I mean, um, again, I became very spiritual after, and I am so blessed, and I am so thankful. Not just blessed, but what do you call that? Forgot, there's another word for that. Blessed is when God gives you something you deserve, and mercy. I'm so merciful because I have received so many things that I probably don't deserve, and those things I'm very grateful for. So definitely, just open up a little more to God. Um, ask for things that you really want, because as soon as you ask, He does have it for you. You just gotta believe it. Um,
I just want to share because I mean, I love this, right? Because I had an experience in myself through meditation. I think I mentioned yesterday that I had an experience through meditation that God spoke to me and said, "I live in your heart." And that shifted my whole perspective. And, I think, I'm not taking away from your saying like to search for God, but sometimes we get lost in the search for God.
yes,
Right.
yes,
And so that, because if God is outside of me, then I'm going to place a face to God. I'm going to place so many things for God, right? Like God is going to become money, relationship, winning. God's going to be out there. When I remember God lives within me, I just simply need to put my hand on my own heart.
yeah,
And remember, I'm not alone. I'm a whole person. I'm perfect. I'm spiritually perfect, whole and complete. So if you could take a moment to put your own hand on your heart and remember you're not alone, you are loved and loved. That shifts everything because your power is within you. You've
yes,
got the power. Um,
yes,
so I just wanted to share that.
yes. 100%. Agreed. 100%. You have the power. That's right.
I got the power.
Get
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's getting gonna,
it, get it.
that song. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to share your social media if anybody wants to follow you?
Honestly, I just opened social media. I know that I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Miguel Baez. But I believe the public one, I think it's called Firefighter by Miguel Baez, something like that, or Miguel Baez Firefighter. I don't know exactly how it is.
And you can give me the information and I can leave it on the description so that if anybody wants to find you,
All
they're
right.
they're
De-
easily
Definitely,
you're
definitely.
easily
I like to have a giving mentality. Like I don't know. Like I like to, to do things out there. So if someone listen to it, or I'd be able to kind of like open up some sort of perception that they can do something different in their life if something is not going right in their life. Like
Yep.
you can definitely change it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I like that. I like to leave some like that for people. Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am so grateful. I'm so excited that people will get to hear your story.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It's been amazing, and this podcast that you have is amazing. I love it. I love that your vision. I love what you're doing. I love that you can help people, empower people, to open up to and do what they love to do. So, and first and foremost, to love themselves, because that's the main thing. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love others. So you
Mhm.
cannot give what you don't have. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love anybody else. If you don't respect yourself, you're not going to be able to respect anybody else. So I love what you're doing, girl. So to keep going, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank,
Yeah.
thank you to all my listeners. Thank you for being on the Awakened Winners podcast. And till next time, I'll see you soon.
All right,
Done?
thank you, girl.